好的，各位朋友们，大家在美国的东西部的朋友们，大家下午好。然后，如果说我们是有在中国国内接入进来的同学和朋友们，大家早上好，辛苦你们了。首先呢，非常的感谢大家一如既往的支持我们厚仁。那么，大家都知道厚仁呢，作为一直扎根在美国本土的一个留学机构，我们90%的同事都是在美国本土的，所以我们一直都在想，我们怎么样可以帮助同学们在美国获得持续的成功。所以呢，我们一直都在考虑同学们求学的这个阶段，如何和未来的30年的职业发展能够去匹配。然后在学业的过程当中，为将来的发展做好最好的准备。那么在这个过程当中呢，厚仁的分支也就是 JobUpper 上职行，那么它呢开始为大家竭诚的去提供关于在美国最热门的和大家最有机会进入的一些行业的信息，以及我们邀请很多这个业内的资深的这个专家来给大家去就每一个行业去做一些分析，所以有了我们今天这个JobUpper 的这样的一个 seminar。首先呢，非常的欢迎大家。那简单的跟大家讲一讲 JobUpper 这件事情。对于我们来说，我们一直认为我们的目标就是希望培养最 top 的人。这个 top 呢，它由3个字组成 T、O 和 P。那分别呢是代表一个人的 talent， 你的天资，还有你的 opportunity， 就在现在的这个时代环境底下，实际的机会有哪些，以及最重要的就是你的 passion。到底你的兴趣、你的爱好在哪里？你真正一生想要追求的东西是什么？那我们在这里也给大家解释了，如果你有天资，可是有行业的机会，可是并没有兴趣，那你永远就只是在做一份工作而已，你不会对它产生去终身为它去追求和进步的欲望。那如果说你有天资、有兴趣，可是行业并不存在这个机会，那对你来说只能是一个 hobby， 只能是一个你的一个爱好，但是并不能够为你产生未来职业发展的价值。如果说你有这个行业的机会，然后你又有天资，可是你然后你又有这个兴趣，可是你并没有技能去做这件事情，那它只能是你的一个 dream， 是一个美好的愿望，但是你并不能够适合的去从事这件事情。所以我们希望跟大家一起去做的事情，就是在你们的 talent、opportunity 和 passion 之间，为大家找到最大的交集，这就是我们所说的你终身的 professional well-being。然后呢，对于我们来讲，我们希望通过一个 ready， 就是准备的这样一个模式，来帮助大家真正实现在这个过程当中的每一个脚印的扎实的这个实现。那首先呢，我们会跟大家一起去重新的认识自己 ，rediscover 你的自己，然后呢，去 explore， 去探索不同的选项。之后呢，我们再给大家一起去寻找各种不同的方案，去实施我们的这个计划。然后在就业的前期去决定我们进入的方向，并且还会每一年都回归再去看自己的这个发展和去做 yearly 的这个 review， 只有这样我们才能够获得持续的成功。所以呢，今天我们第1期的这个讲座，我们选择了AI、区块链、大数据和深度学习的这么一个专业来做我们第1期的这个讲座。那同时呢，我们也邀请到了这个行业的这个资深的导师这个 Aaron Goldblatt。因为大家都知道这个 AI 的这个行业，或者说高科技的这个行业，我们称它为第4次的工业革命，我们也叫它是 disruptive technology。那么霍金曾经说过一句话哈，他说呢，这个可能 AI 的这个技术是人类最伟大的一个发明，但是非常不幸的，也可能是人类历史最后一个发明。 那这就说明，在现在的这个时代里面，这个AI 和这个相关的领域会给这个世界带来非常大的机会。所以呢，今天我们非常高兴的请到了这个Aaron 来给大家去做这方面的深入的剖析。Hello, Aaron. Could you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Great, great. Yeah, we could hear you perfectly. How are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
Great, great. Well, thank you so much for your time with us today. And I know you just went back from the big trip to Europe, and you had a big battle to fight on Monday. And we really appreciate that you could spend time with us today talking about your own experience and all the opportunities and challenges in the high-tech areas. Welcome.
Yep.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, so let's maybe start with a little bit more background about yourself. Could you share with us like your education experience? Where did you come from? And how did you shift over time to achieve your career goals along the way when you were at college and graduate school?
Sure. So when I first entered college, I wanted to work in finance when I was at Penn State. So I studied finance as well as history when I was at Penn State. And my goal initially was to work in either investment banking or trading. And I actually worked for a time, and I'll talk about this a bit more, worked at an investment bank called Merrill Lynch for a summer and realized I actually didn't enjoy finance as much as I thought I would. And so ultimately what I did was I started pursuing a career in management and strategy consulting instead. I spoke to colleagues of mine at university who worked at different consulting firms. I began reaching out to people to talk to them about their experiences with these different consulting firms and applied to a variety of jobs at these companies, and ultimately was able to obtain some interviews and get my first job in consulting for when I graduated during Penn State. So another thing I want to talk about just while I'm here is obviously when you're in college, especially your last 2 years, you need to spend a lot of time focusing on the job search. And so it can be really difficult to balance the time you spend on the job search as well as making sure you complete your academic studies. And so it was really critical for me to develop strong organizational skills to make sure I planned my time well. And so I would typically set aside about 1 hour per day to focus purely on my job search. And so I would practice interviewing, I would apply to jobs, I would call people on the phone to speak to them about their careers. But you had to make sure that you spend a minimum amount of time per day, I think at least 1 hour in finding a job. And so as you can see here, I had 2 internships as well that helped a lot. Internships are critical in getting a full-time job after college. So the first one I had, the first one I had was at CSIS on the left. It's a foreign policy research group. They do international affairs research as well as cybersecurity, a wide variety of different topics. And so I was able to learn about that through my university, was able to apply for it and obtain the position. And actually that was my first internship after my second year of college. And that internship really helped me to get the internship at Merrill Lynch because I was in the finance department. And so I was actively speaking with our career services team to talk to them about what kind of internships I should apply for. I told them my interests and asked them to help me identify companies where I would have a good chance of recruiting. And so I ultimately was able to apply to a few different companies, get some interviews, met with Merrill Lynch. And one of the things they liked about my background was that I had worked at the year before at a prior internship. So sometimes what's very important in college is having a couple different internships, even starting early. Even if they're not very exciting or interesting internships, having a prior internship before your third year in college can really help you finding better internships later on. And those internships can be very valuable in ultimately getting a full-time position after you graduate.
That's great, Aaron. If you don't mind, we discuss a little bit with the students in Mandarin.
Sure.
大家也都看到哈，Aaron 的这个他的这个成长的这个学习的背景已经算是非常的强了。本科 Penn State U 已经是这个 Big Ten 之一，然后也是公立常青藤之一。然后之后到了研究生，又去到了 John Hopkins。John Hopkins 也现在已经是跻身 US News 的 Top 10了。那么他所读的这个尼采的这个高级公共关系学院呢，又是其实现在全球排名第1的学院。但是他都刚刚说了一个 keyword， 他可能在求学的过程当中，到了大3的时间的时候，每天可能花了1个小时的时间，至少来跟大家一起去去做这个job opportunity 的这个 search 和做各项的准备。而且他也提到一个很关键的点，就是说我们同时在开始第1个实习的时候呢，一定不要眼高手低。一定要抓住机会开始一个实习。像刚刚他讲的这个例子，他其实第1个实习是在policy research 和 information research 方面的。那但是这完全不影响他将来能够去到像 Merrill Lynch 等等更高阶的这个实习的机会。因为对于雇主来说，最关键的是他会在看你有没有一个进阶式的一个职业发展的一个过程。那如果说我们刚开始的时候总觉得不是大企业，不是最牛的企业，我就不去，那迟迟不开启自己的这个实习和准备的步骤的话，那你永远都没有办法到达你想要到达的这个地方。所以我觉得 Aaron 讲到的这个信息是非常非常的有价值的。Well, thank you very much, Aaron. And I mean, we know you have a very successful career path so far. You've been working with Deloitte Consulting and Booz Allen, Hamilton, and all these big firms. And now you decide to come to a more challenging and more innovative company, and you're taking a very, very important role. Would you share a little bit more of your experience along the way and insights for our friends?
Sure.
Right.
So my first job out of college was at Oliver Wyman, and I was that's a management consulting firm, and I was able to get that job. I think primarily because I'd had those good internship experiences. So I think again having some internship experience during university is very important to finding that first job. And worked for Oliver Wyman for about a year and actually found a better fit for my skills at Deloitte Consulting, where I went to afterwards. And worked there for several years. It was both firms are similar. They do management and strategy consulting. I did a lot of data analytics while I was there. A lot of interesting work working with a variety of customers, both large and small. So worked with some large companies in the US as well as some government agencies also. And then after Deloitte, I went to get my my master's degree at Johns Hopkins, where I studied economics and international relations. Again, it was a 2-year program, and I did an internship between my first and second year working at a IPA, which was on the prior slide, and did some work there doing analysis of international development surveys. And then after I graduated, I took a job at the advisory board company. It's a research and consulting firm focusing on healthcare. Had a particular interest in healthcare at that time, and so was very interested in getting into that field. And I was working mostly internationally, so most of my customers were in Europe, in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, in some parts of Southeast Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, are the most prominent. And then from there, I went to Booz Allen Hamilton, which is also a consulting firm. But Booz Allen does a lot of technology work, and it was at this time that I started to develop a growing interest in technology, especially around machine learning and artificial intelligence. And most of my background was in, at this time, project management and strategy. And so my hope was to be able to oversee a team of data scientists and engineers who are developing machine learning solutions to complex problems. And so I spent several years at Booz Allen working mostly with US government clients. And I was overseeing the deployment of a variety of machine learning tools to help solve a number of different problems, especially around things like preventing tax fraud. And this is actually a field that is one of the biggest growing fields, is using machine learning to aid financial institutions. And so you see a lot of usage of machine learning that's used to predict the kind of behavior that may be pursued by bad actors. So in banks, for example, they want to see who is trying to steal information or cheat the bank. You see it a lot at governments where they try and do the same thing. And actually, these different machine learning algorithms can be very powerful in predicting different types of fraud and in preventing people from trying to cheat. And so a person, for example, may be trying to steal information from a bank, and an artificial intelligence tool can actually figure out if it's a real person who has legitimate business or someone who's trying to steal information or behave poorly, and can prevent that person from stealing. And so my work there got me very interested more in the tech space, and I decided I wanted to move to a startup. So I had worked at a number of large companies, developed some very good skills, and chose to move to a small startup where I am currently right now. It's called Pypestream, and they build a variety of what I call artificial intelligence conversational interfaces. These are a bit like chatbots, but they're automation tools for large enterprises. And so my work here is to oversee our work implementing these tools at our customers. And so I'm currently overseeing about 10 different projects with customers in insurance, retail, a variety, as well as the energy space, also financial services, trying to deploy our solution, build a strong artificial intelligence tool to help them better automate their processes and save money.
Cool, that's very impressive. Thank you, Aaron. 刚刚大家也都听到了 Aaron 在之前的这10多年的发展的一个过程，其实正就像我们刚刚讲的这个 model， 这个 TOP 的这个 model， 大家要知道我们在做好了大学的实习准备之后，你的第一份工作的起点不会差，但是它仅仅只是一个开端。我们在这个过程当中还会在不断的去回归自己的 T、O 和 P， 然后再不断的去修正自己职业发展的道路。就像 Aaron 这样子，一开始从一个其实中型的这个国际的 consulting firm 开始，然后在 Deloitte 其实最主要是专注财经的这个部分，就是 finance 的这个部分。然后到了 advisory board company 的时候，逐渐的开始做 data science 还有 research 和 technology consulting 方面的东西，然后最后去到这个 Booz Allen 的时候，他发现自己真正的兴趣是在 high technology 和 AI 相关的这个部分。那么，所以这个现在他有了这个勇气，并且有了这么好的一个机会去进入到这个 startup 的这个公司。其实我认识他的时候，他也是正在这个 Booz Allen Hamilton 的也属于事业的一个巅峰，做得非常的好。那但是在跟他的聊天的过程当中，你就可以感觉得到他的这个 passion 就是在AI 还有这个大数据以及disruptive technology。那我也真的特别替他高兴，他做了这么一个职业的很大的一个牵升，然后给他带来了更多的这个机会。那像刚刚 Aaron 也讲到了，他一直在做这个consulting 方面的工作，他也接触了很多不同的职业的范畴，所以他今天可以从 我们可以说3万英尺的高空来跟大家去讲整个的这个新的行业的一个landscape， 然后给大家一些经验和机会，所以也是非常的难得的。Okay, so Aaron, right now I will pass it on to you to talk about the landscape of the disruptive technology nowadays and all the opportunities and challenges that we're facing in the fourth industrial revolution era.
Sure.
Cool.
So let's go to, I think it's 2 slides forward. Yeah, so this slide, it shows some of the major breakthroughs that are happening right now. I think we live in a very exciting time with a lot of change, a lot of development, and there's a lot of different things that are happening when it comes to technology. I've talked a bit about machine learning and artificial intelligence. Obviously, robotics and 3D printing are very well known as well. But I want to talk about a few ones here that are very important. So one is big data. So today what's happening is companies have more and more data ever at their disposal, but they're struggling with a few things. The first is, how do you analyze that data and how do you use it? And so many companies are hiring a large number of software engineers and really data scientists here, whose job is to sift through large amounts of data and help these customers better use this data in order to improve their profitability and their revenues. And so this is one of the spaces where you see the most growth really at any kind of company, at any kind of industry. Everyone, I think most people are familiar with large companies like Google, or in China you have Baidu, for example, where they have large amounts of data at their disposal and they want to make better use of it. But really any kind of company is going to want to be able to better analyze data. Now, another thing I talk about here is blockchain. Now, many of us are familiar with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin. These get a lot of attention, but in my opinion, there's much more interesting things happening in applying blockchain to different industries, and especially in the financial services industry. A number of banks, as well as a number of insurance companies, are beginning to pilot using blockchain to better track their financial operations and to keep track of how money flows through their system and to keep track of different types of insurance products. And so, in my opinion, I think blockchain right now is a pretty small field in financial services and insurance, but I see it really exploding in the next 5 or 10 years. And so a lot of changes are happening, right? So, and I think what's happening today with artificial intelligence and blockchain and big data and all these different changes we see in automation, it's going to affect pretty much every industry, but there's a few that are very common to be affected. So, things like manufacturing and transportation, agriculture and construction, those are more manual labor that is very heavily affected by the changes today. But we also see it in other industries, in financial services, in legal and research. You see it a lot in healthcare, for example. And so to give you an example there, the pharmaceutical industry is now using machine learning algorithms to try and predict what kind of medications are most likely to cure certain types of diseases. It's a really exciting field, and pharmaceutical companies right now are one of the biggest hirers of artificial intelligence engineers, as well as just software engineers in general. They need people that can analyze this data effectively. But you also see it in marketing and accounting, for example, as well. And I really think that one of the best ways you can think about jobs that can be replaced by automation is to think, if the work is routine, it doesn't require a lot of thought and effort put into it, it's going to be replaced by a machine.
That is very true.
Now, there's 2 perspectives here. I think some people say that this kind of disruption is normal. There's always going to be technological innovation, and it's going to bring disruption. And whereas others think that robotics and artificial intelligence are going to replace many jobs and more jobs, even high-skilled jobs. And these people think the future will be defined by mass unemployment. I don't think either of these futures is necessarily going to happen, but it's very important to be aware of the ways in which artificial intelligence and automation are impacting jobs, and trying to position yourself in a way in which you can have more success in the future, because you're in a job that is always going to be in demand. And I think some of the more advanced engineering and software development and application development jobs are the ones that are safest from automation. And so here's just some examples of some of the new jobs that are being created. And artificial intelligence really is one of the biggest fields right now. But in order to build an artificial intelligence system, you need people to actually train and maintain the algorithms. So you've got to train these artificial intelligence tools on large amounts of data. We're talking millions of records. And you've got to, they need people that can both do the training and oversee the actual algorithms themselves to ensure they perform the way they are expected. If you look at robotics even, and robotics is incredibly complex with millions of moving parts that depend on data being fed into the system. And so you need people that can do all of that, people that can oversee the machines themselves, quickly correct problems, understand how data is being fed into the machines as well. And then, of course, I talked a little bit earlier about big data, but you need database engineers, you need service technicians and administrators, and critically, you need talented engineers who can analyze very large amounts of data as well. So, if you want to be successful in the future, I think it's very important to think of how you can become a creative engineer. Anyone can write simple lines of code. Anyone can do that in mass quantities. But the people that will be most valuable in the future are the people that can do those, that can solve those really challenging engineering problems, that can figure out very efficient ways of writing code that can be scaled up to many different types of problems. Machines and artificial intelligence are very good at learning from past behavior, but they're not so creative. They're not very good at understanding how to apply context to situations. And I think in many cases, it's very important to know that using machines and automation tools as tools to help you do your job more efficiently can be very, very critical for career success. At the same time, you must always be willing to learn new skills. So So if you are a software coder and maybe today you know Python, you're going to want to learn things like Java and JavaScript because those are in demand. There are always new emerging coding languages. PHP, for example, is becoming very popular. You've got to be willing to learn these new skills in order to make sure that you remain as a valuable asset for different companies.
That's very insightful, Aaron. 我们刚刚像 Aaron 所讲的，其实呢，他给我们了一个核心的一个概念，就是说，确实，恭喜大家，大家现在在感兴趣的这个领域和你们未来想要去进入的这个方向，确确实实是未来的10年到15年最有发展机会的，甚至能够给世界产生变革的这么一个行业。但是同时，他也讲了，其实我们听到的这些word， 不管是 AI 也好 ，blockchain 也好，还是其他的robotics 也好，其实最核心在现在的这个时代，它的最关键的 keyword 就像 Aaron 讲的，其实就是 data， 就是数据。那所有的新的这些技术或者说新的产业或者说方向和机会，都是基于我们对数据前所未有的分析的能力、以及学习的能力和这个预测的能力去支持的。那么，所以我们在考虑这个行业机会的时候，也千万不要把自己限制的太过的狭窄，就说，这个公司的名字没有 AI 这2个字，我是不会去的，因为我是要做 AI 方向的。那我们 Aaron 他在后面的这个分享里面还会再跟大家讲到如何从行业的角度和从职位的角度去筛选我们的这个机会。那所以希望给大家在这里呢建立这样一种宏观的一个landscape。 Okay, so Aaron, you have shared the broader picture of the industry itself, and now maybe let's get down to the career opportunities a little bit more. So we definitely want to know from you, like, where would those high-tech companies be located right now mostly, and what kind of position are highly needed, and what is the requirements for different kinds of companies? Would you share
Sure.
on that? And thank you.
Sure. So I'll talk first about some of the positions that are, or maybe we'll do the locations of companies. So you're going to see them mostly in large cities in the northeast of the U.S. and north central U.S. as well as in the West Coast. So this will be places like New York, Boston, Chicago, Minneapolis, Seattle, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, but also some places like Austin, Texas, as well as Atlanta. But most of the best jobs are going to be in a city because you have large numbers of educated people, and you have large numbers of companies that are clustered in cities. And so I think typically along the coasts is where you're going to see most opportunity. And I suspect it's quite similar in China. You would see many of these jobs in places like Shanghai and Guangzhou, for example, but it's usually along the coasts. And so I'll talk a bit about some of the jobs first that people are looking to hire. So the two most common jobs that are people looking to hire are for at tech companies are for typically software engineers and applications engineers. And within this, there are two kinds of jobs that are very common. You have your front end developers who do a lot of work on producing the interfaces that you as a user might see. So when you open up an app on your mobile phone or on a desktop, they're going to make sure that everything can be translated to an interface that is very easy to use. And this is a really critical job right now because usability is a very important element of any technology product. And so in cases in which you don't have a very usable product, if the tool could be very powerful, but if it's not easy and for users to use, you're going to have problems. At the same time, there's also the back-end engineers. These are the guys that do a lot of the back-end coding and engineering work, writing a lot of the algorithms, for example, that power these different machine learning tools. Again, a very critical job at many tech companies. Often some of the biggest groups within many tech companies is that back-end portion. And there are also so-called full stack engineers who can actually do both ends. If you can become a full stack engineer where you can do both the front end and the back end, you make yourself incredibly valuable for many companies. So I'll talk here first of what employers are looking for. And I want to start on the education side. So obviously a college degree is critical, especially in a subject like math and computer science. These are very important as engineering work and software development do require very strong math skills. And so the bare minimum is to expect a math or computer science or potentially even a physics degree, because it suggests to the employer that you have a very strong analytical mind, that you can deal with complex math. At the same time, many employers expect recent graduates to be fluent in at least one language. And so in my company, for example, the most important is Python, and Python is right now one of the most important languages you can know. But Java is also very useful. There are a number of others, C++, for example, is another one that's useful, but Python and Java are the two most important. And it's very important that if you put this on your resume, that you do have strong proficiency here, because during many interviews, technology companies will actually ask the interviewees to do different tasks of different coding tasks. So they're going to want to make sure they actually understand these different languages, and we'll ask them to perform a specific function in Python or JavaScript, whatever is on their resume. And so it's very, very important that if you put that on your resume, that you can actually write code in front of an employer during an interview. Now, I think it's also extremely valuable if you can learn multiple languages, and you don't need to learn every single one. it's better to be very strong in 2 than to have just a medium strength in 3 or 4. And that just demonstrates to employers that you are willing to learn new skills, but also you can be used in different parts of the organization. You know, with some companies, especially small startups, they often require the use of multiple coding languages, and a person that can use multiple languages of coding is going to be much more valuable. Additionally, it's important to show some coursework in applied engineering. Any ways in which you've shown that you've actually used these coding languages in your actual coursework is very valuable. As I mentioned as well, internship experience is incredibly important, especially in technology and coding. If you're unable to obtain an internship that involves some coding or engineering, at least being at a technology company where you can see what the work environment is like will be very valuable. It helps to show that you're interested in that space. I think, and last, it's really important to have a curiosity and love for AI and AI-related fields. You know, there's a lot of exciting things happening, but there's a lot of people who are interested in this space. And so really showing that you understand the major upcoming trends in this field is also very, very important. And then when it comes to the actual skills, again, data is critically important at every company. If you're building machine learning algorithms, you need to understand how data is structured and how it can be fed into these machine learning tools. And so it's very, very important that you have some skill around cleaning data and analyzing data. Again, as I mentioned, math skills are very important, and you may be tested in an interview to do math by hand in certain types of interviews. You should have a basic understanding of how algorithms are structured and how they are written. You don't have to be an expert here, but have to know the general structure is very important. And then again, you may be asked to do a kind of test during these interviews. And so you must be able to apply logic to coding for complex tasks. Show that you can think through a coding problem and use, say, Java or Python or another tool to write the appropriate code for that problem.
That's very helpful, Aaron. Well, many of our students always tell us, I just want to go to large corporations. That's the only place I would like to go. And would you share a little bit more with us, like what are the different requirements or even dynamics between large corporations and startups? What are the pros and cons?
Sure. So large corporations are going to have a much more structured interview process. You're going to have to typically, some places they will recruit on campus, and that's the only way to get interviews. Other places require you to apply online. It really varies from one corporation to the next, but it's much more structured. They can tend to go after people that they think are the best of the best. So they'll recruit from the top 50 colleges or maybe even just the top 10 or top 20. So it can be very, very competitive. Now, the benefit of working for these companies is you will get very good training on the job. They invest very heavily in their employees. They really help their employees to learn different skills and to become stronger at what they're trying to do. But the disadvantage here is sometimes the career path can move a bit slower. You may have a much more narrow job function. So you may be hired to do a certain kind of engineering task or to do certain kinds of analysis. And it'll be very hard to pick up new skills as well, which can be somewhat frustrating for those who wish to learn new skills and abilities. And as well, at large corporations, if you're not able to move up quickly, you might be let go by that company. Now, that being said, you have a lot of great name recognition at these companies. It can be a great place to launch a career elsewhere. You also, as I mentioned, you learn great skills. And it's very stable. You'll get a stable salary. Large corporations aren't going to go out of business within a year or 2 years. Very rare for that to happen. So it's a much more stable career. Now, at a startup, it's very different. So at a startup, you are going to be expected you'll learn from some of the people you're working with, but you're also going to need to go out and continue your own self-learning. So for people that are a bit more entrepreneurial, like to take things into their own hands, learn on their own, pick up new skills, a startup can be great. You also have the opportunity to work in many different roles. So you may start in your first year working in Python coding, and if you want to move into Java, that will be an opportunity there as well. They're always going to need help. And it also provides much more growth opportunities. So if you work for a startup that is having a lot of success and is expanding quickly, you being already there, you'll get the chance to take on more responsibility. You'll get to do new projects. You'll get to move up much quicker, potentially increase your salary much quicker. And you're also often offered equity as part of the package of being in a startup. So that could pay off into a large amount of money if the startup ends up being very successful. Now, one of the challenges of a startup is, again, it's going to be much less stable. Many technology startups, they depend on investors in the early years, the first 5, even 10 years. They need investors to help keep the company going. The business can be hyper competitive as well. So you may notice that there are many other small startups competing in the same space, and it's always hard to see who will win and who will lose. But in my opinion, I love working at a startup technology firm. It's just very exciting. You can be involved in many different aspects of the business. I am not personally an engineer, but I work very closely with my engineering and product team. I have a strong understanding of how they work, and I've developed some great skills that I would have never gotten at a large corporation.
Cool. That's great. And you have talked about different entry positions into a certain field, like you just talked about engineering kind of job. You could do front end, back end, full stack. So maybe let's take AI or software engineering as an example. Could you share a little bit more about like each possible position and the requirements or qualification that we need to possess if we want to pursue this?
Sure. So most engineers, whether you're doing kind of machine learning or data mining or even writing coding, you're going to have a bachelor's degree, typically the bare minimum. There are some that don't, but it's very rare. And so many people will enter into, doing data analysis, data mining, just with a bachelor's is a great place to start to understand how to manage data very effectively. If you know coding in Java or Python well, you can come in as a software engineer. You can very quickly get involved in things like machine learning and applications development. This involves training machines to recognize a variety of different behaviors, understanding some of the different behaviors of individuals and how you train a machine to react to it. So those are kind of the most common two that people go in directly from a bachelor's. But at the same time, there are those who are software program managers, which is kind of what I do, where you have a strong understanding of artificial intelligence and machine learning from a higher level. But your job is to oversee how these solutions are deployed to your customers. So this is the people that can work really closely with engineers and engineering teams and speak that language. They've got to have very strong math skills as well, but also have very good customer-facing skills also. And then lastly, those that really want to get into the most cutting edge of artificial intelligence and machine learning, they're going to have an advanced degree. You're going to have to spend several years obtaining a master's or a PhD in computer science, in applied artificial intelligence as well. And you'll really be on kind of the cutting edge of guiding these engineering endeavors. And oftentimes, though, what I would say is if that's an area you want to get into, it's better to get some experience initially as an engineer after your bachelor's, work for a few years, and then go back to get your master's or PhD, because you'll understand the engineering at that point very well. And you'll also know what specific area of artificial intelligence you want to get into, because there are many different areas. There are those that primarily focus on computer software, so natural language understanding, for example, machine learning for large data sets. There are others that require different skill sets and different knowledge. So self-driving cars, for example, they depend on machine learning, but they also depend on translating an algorithm into a behavior of an actual vehicle. So it's very important to have some experience, and if that's an area you're interested in, you'll know that after a few years of working in the workforce.
Wonderful, wonderful. So just to wrap up, would you advise us, like, if I were a student, how should I start to navigate different opportunities that lies in my future career path?
Sure. So I think it's to think about it from two different perspectives. One is company focused, and the other is industry focused. So when I say company focused, you could go after specific companies. These are some technology consulting firms. I've got Accenture and Capgemini here are two prominent ones, but they can be large or small. Large variety of technology consulting firms out there, and it can be a very good place to get exposure to many different projects, different types of solutions that you have for customers. You could also go after established technology firms like Google, Amazon, SAP. There's many different ones both in the US and China that hire large numbers of engineers. And you could also go to look at startups. And so these are much more technology-centric jobs and companies where it's very obvious these are technology firms. If in the future, if you were to apply to new jobs, people would know you've worked in technology and you've got some engineering or software development background. These places also give you the chance to develop a wide range of technology skills, to strengthen your skills as well. You can work on different projects, as I mentioned. Now, the other option is to look at an industry focus, where you start thinking about what are the opportunities for artificial intelligence and engineering within different industries. And retail is a very good example. So we think of traditional retail stores as being very old-fashioned. They're losing to Amazon and Alibaba and JD.com. But these companies are trying to catch up very quick. And so they're actually hiring a large number of engineering and software professionals to help them have a better online presence, to better use machine learning to help market to customers or figure out how to stock different items. A lot of exciting opportunities there. There's also healthcare I mentioned, pharmaceutical companies, which they want to hire people to help develop machine learning algorithms to predict how individuals will respond to different medications. Transportation, I mentioned a minute ago, is very exciting around self-driving vehicles, but also not just for individuals, but for trucks. There's self-driving or shipping even, of cargo boats across the ocean. That is a very exciting field right now. And so you're looking at what seems like a very traditional company, but they have some very exciting opportunities there. Of course, energy as well is very important. How do you be very precise in how you produce energy or send it to your customers? And there's a ton happening as well in finance. And so a lot of financial companies, whether they're investment companies or financial institutions, they're looking to hire people to better respond to markets, to prevent fraud, to have better cybersecurity. A lot of engineering and software development and artificial intelligence jobs at these places. And so especially if you have, if there's industries that you're very excited about, if you think finance is very interesting or healthcare, there's a large number of jobs for people that are interested in artificial intelligence at those companies. And I think especially if you have an interest in artificial intelligence as well as an interest in a specific industry, it's a very easy way to marry those two together.
That's great. Thank you very much, Aaron. 刚刚 Aaron 呢，跟我们其实从一个立体的角度去分析了这个行业的发展机会，归结到一点，就是我们知道这个行业的机会并不仅仅存在于象牙塔里，或者是独角兽里面，或者是最大的这些big names 里面，而是其实现在的这些 disruptive technology 的机会存在于任何你可以想象到的传统行业里面。那但是我们需要有一个 open mind 和需要有个基本的素质，以及知道自己在这个大的范畴里面更加精通的是哪一个层面的技能和这个软硬技术，然后从地域的角度去筛选，从行业的角度去筛选，从企业的规模和这个不同的机会的角度去筛选。那么这样子我们的 道路就宽了很多，我们也就有了一个所谓的 compass，有了一个指南针，我们知道自己在这个过程当中应该怎么样去准备和去梳理。Well, thank you so very much for your time, Aaron. And I know we have a little bit time for questions. Right now, if students you have questions, you can definitely leave us a message, and we do have a few here. One question was from a student who is currently in New York, and he wants to pursue a job in New York, but that's in the high technology fields. And as we all know, New York is known for a finance center and everything that's related to it. But more often we hear those jobs more often come from Boston or Silicon Valley or other places. So in future, because you're in New York as well, so what are the opportunities he might be able to look at if it's in the New York and metropolitan area?
Sure. So there's actually a lot of technology companies in New York. So big technology companies, Google, Facebook, Amazon, as well as many others, have a very large presence in New York. I think New York is actually the second biggest office for Amazon, for example. And they hire a large number of different people, including engineers. But there's a large amount of actually small technology companies that are based in New York. And so there are really three types of technology companies that I see very common in New York City. The first are those that do big data analysis and using applying machine learning to data. A number of those companies in New York, but the two other biggest ones where there are enormous presence are first in healthcare. There are many healthcare startups and many healthcare technology companies that are based in New York. I think it's probably the second biggest after Boston when it comes to healthcare technology. Additionally, the other is in what's called fintech, which is financial technology. So New York, of course, is very well known for finance and investment banking, but because New York is so well known for those, there are many different financial technology startups and other financial technology firms that are in the city. And actually, it's the largest financial technology hub in the United States. And so there are great opportunities at these financial technology companies to apply artificial intelligence and machine learning to these kinds of problems.
That's great. And here I got another question from a student. He was saying, hi, Aaron, thank you very much. I am currently a student in computer science, but I'm really interested in AI, machine learning, deep learning, etc. But my professor told me it's just too hot and too competitive. So, and I have limited knowledge about artificial intelligence. So I don't know if this is right around to pursue AI kind of opportunity, or should I just go with data scientist or become a data analyst instead?
Sure. So I think both areas, whether it's in AI engineering or in data science, are both very good fields to be in. I think there's two questions to ask. The first one is, what do you find interesting? If you like data, I think any artificial intelligence algorithm will only be as good as the data that is fed into it. And so right now, to me, that's one of the most important areas in artificial intelligence is the data itself, and finding people that are very good at cleaning that data, analyzing it, interpreting it. I think data science is an incredibly important area to be in, especially those that are very talented there, because you have to be able to figure out how to better collect data, how to better use data. And if we don't have good data, you won't have good artificial intelligence. I agree with your professor that artificial intelligence is still very new. And I think we have a long ways to go before it really becomes more mature than it is today. But if you're currently a student, I think now is actually a very good time to get in this field, because you can really learn about it in its very young state. Because in 10 years, And I think it may take 10 years, but artificial intelligence, I think, will begin to really take off in about 10 or 15 years. At that point, you would be very experienced, but still in the prime of your career. And so there's a lot of opportunity to do that. But no matter what you choose, again, you're always making a career decision for what is best for you. And so if you really enjoy data and really enjoy working with data itself, I think data science is a very good career path. If you like some of the elements of what's involved with artificial intelligence engineering and you find that just more enjoyable, I think that's also a very good field to pursue.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron. And if we have more questions from the students, we'll definitely forward that over to you and seek for your advice, and we'll get back to the students. Well, I mean, again, we thank you very much for your precious time spent with us today, and you have brought so much insights for our students. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to help.
非常感谢 Aaron。那么我们今天的这个讲座呢，也就基本上告一个段落。但是像我刚刚讲的，如果说大家有任何的问题，可以随时跟我们保持沟通。我们也会通过这个 Aaron 老师以及其他的这个 AI 方面的一些专家，再去帮大家去支持和解决。那么我们也会在下一个阶段，也就是这周之内，也会陆陆续续的呢给大家发布一些跟这个高技术行业相关的一些实习的机会，有远程的，也有近程的。那么有稍微成规模一点的企业，也有其实现在来讲非常 innovative 和 startup 的一些企业。那么我们呢也会有这个其他的这个领航的导师，之后再跟大家继续去在不同的范畴去沟通。包括我们之后会有来自谷歌、来自 Uber 等等自动驾驶的这个领航的企业的导师，那也会有这个建筑工程、法律、化学工程，然后金融等等不同的范畴的导师跟大家去陆续的沟通。那希望大家去保持这个联系。那么 all in all 呢，我们希望能够在这个过程当中帮助大家去首先像刚刚讲的，能够 rediscover 自己，能够认识自己，然后迈出这最关键的第一步，这是非常非常重要的。那不论是什么样的起点，只要有第一步，那我们以后就能走得更顺畅。那么，然后如果说大家在行业的发展的层面上、自我认识的层面上有很多的问题，我们有非常多的资深的导师，有外籍的，也有这个成功的这个华人的，那么会给大家更多的这个1对1的意见和建议，帮助大家去发展。那么同时当然也会有内推和帮助大家去建立这个职业发展的第一步的这么很多的一些机会。也希望大家在这个过程当中去不断的积累自己的人脉，不断的去往前走。那么咱们的服务可以有很多个不同的阶段以及不同的方式，希望大家呢跟我们去联系，然后随时可以通过扫码我们这下面的这个微信，和跟我们的这个群里面的何老师以及我李欢老师去直接的联系。如果大家有什么问题的话，我们随时随地都为你们去服务。再次也非常感谢大家来参加我们第一次的这个职业发展的讲座。我们2个星期到3个星期之后再见。非常感谢大家。Thank you again, Aaron. I hope to see you soon.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.